Yeah, g'day YouTubers, Spanner Man again here with another video. Today we're going to talk about files, using files. Not going to show you how to use them, but some interesting information that maybe you could use. So if we were to say what is the correct file to use on the chain that you're using, first of all I'll start with the smallest chain and talk about the file size for the largest chain. So for the smallest chain, which is a 1/4 inch Pico, use a 1/8 or a 3.2 millimeter or a 3.5 millimeter file. For a 3/8 low profile, use a 532 or a 4 millimeter file. For a 0.325, you use a 3/16 or a 4.8 millimeter file. For a standard 3/8 chain, you use a 1364 or a 5.2 millimeter file. For a 404 chain, you use a 732 or a 5.5 millimeter file. Now, a lot of you probably already know that. Okay. You're probably going, what's this guy trying to tell us? Well, what's very interesting, if you look at the slope of a tooth, so if we look at this tooth here, and we're to look at that downward slope is about 15 degrees. So as you file that tooth down, that slope remains the same, but what does change is this depth here. If this was a brand new tooth, from the point here to about here would be just under 5 millimeters, about 4.7 for a 3/8 chain. But as we go down to about right down to the witness mark here, so as we get down near the end of the life, the tooth is about a 1/2 mil shorter. So therefore, for a 3/8 chain, we use a 5.2 millimeter file, and we get this nice little curve here. It's not exactly a C shape, but everyone refers to it as a C shape. So it's an arc, a nice arc. And if you use a wrong file, so let's say in the beginning that you're using a 4.8 millimeter file on this, you'll start to get too much of an arc here. And you'll start to get what they call a bit of a hook or a bit of a beak on here. Okay, so what's a really good practice is that when the tooth wears down halfway, the depth from the peak, from the point of the tooth to the bottom of the gullet, is reduced. Now when it reduces about a 1/2 millimeter, you can go to the smaller file, so you could quite easily file that a 4.8 file. If you're using a 404 chain, that's a 5.5 millimeter file. So when you get halfway down, you could swap over to a 5.2 millimeter file, and so on. Now, the only one that's a little bit different there is that if you get a 0.325 chain, that's a 4.8 millimeter file. So to drop to a 4 millimeter file, yeah, look, what a lot of people actually recommend to do, that if you've got a large jump like that, is that you still use a 4.8 millimeter file, but you clean it up with a 4 mil file. And if you were using the 1/4 inch Pico, well, you know, you don't have much smaller than a 3.2 millimeter file, so you've probably got to stick with that. Look, what I'm telling you is not critical. It's not a game changer. It's not going to make a huge deal of difference in your cutting ability. But if you can maintain that nice uniform curve, what we refer to as the C shape, then your cutting could be 5% better. So therefore, when you get right down here and you drop the file, because if you have a look between a 732 file, which is if this was a 3/8 chain and we were using a 5.2 millimeter file, and that's a 1364, so then we drop to a 4.8, it's only 0.4 of a millimeter. But remember, the file size may be 0.4 of a millimeter, in diameter smaller, but we've reduced a 0.5 millimetre by the time we get down to the witness mark. So I think you can see that if you want to maintain that nice arc, it's advisable that when you get about half the life of the tooth, switch over to the file. As I said, it's not critical. It's not a game changer. It's just good practice. It's probably not recommended by the chain manufacturers because it's not critical. It's not a game changer. It could be confusing. And that's the one thing. If you start to confuse people, I say, "Oh, I heard you need this file. Oh, I heard you need that." So you're probably better off, you just say to a person, "Oh, you use this file. This is the file that you use." Don't confuse them with two different size files. But you could ask a lot of professional people that file chains, and they will tell you, yes, it's a good idea to do that. It's not critical, but it's a good idea. Look, it's only a short little video. I hope it helps. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.